Ladies and gentlemen, we live in a world that moves fast. So fast that we often miss the most important things. We rush from one task to the next, eyes glued to our screens, minds buried in deadlines and distractions, and in that rush we forget to see what's right in front of us. But if you just stop, if you take a deep breath and look around, you'll see something incredible. God's love is everywhere. It's in the sunrise that paints the sky with fire every morning. It's in the stranger who holds the door open when your hands are full. It's in the laughter of a child, the kindness of a friend, the comfort of a hug when you need it most. There was a time when you knew exactly what you wanted. As a kid, you didn't second-guess yourself. You didn't ask if your dream was realistic or if people would approve. You just knew. Maybe you wanted to build something, create something, be someone. It didn't matter how big or impossible it seemed, you believed in it without hesitation. But then, life got louder. Opinions started flooding in, expectations from society, from family, from friends, and slowly that dream, your dream, became something you questioned. The problem isn't that dreams fade, the problem is that we let them. Not because they stop mattering, but because we lose clarity. We forget why we wanted it in the first place. We get caught up in distractions, responsibilities, and the daily grind, and before we know it, we start making choices that pull us further and further away from the thing that once set our soul on fire. Clarity of purpose is the foundation of every great achievement. It's the difference between people who wake up excited for their lives and those who just get through the day. Because when you know your purpose, when you're clear on what you're chasing, every decision, every action, every setback has meaning. The people who accomplish the unthinkable, the ones who refuse to settle, aren't necessarily the most talented or the smartest. They're the ones who never let go of their why. Think about the moments when you felt the most alive. The times when you were so engaged, so focused that nothing else mattered. That wasn't a coincidence. That was alignment. That was you being pulled by something bigger than yourself. And that feeling, that's your purpose calling you back. But clarity doesn't come from waiting. It doesn't come from hoping things will make sense one day. It comes from making a decision to stop ignoring what you already know deep down, a decision to block out the noise, to let go of fear, to strip away everything that isn't pushing you toward your vision. Because here's the truth. Without clarity, you will drift. You'll move through life reacting instead of creating. You'll chase what's convenient instead of what's meaningful. You'll end up living someone else's dream instead of your own. And one day you'll look back and wonder why you didn't fight harder to hold on to the thing that once meant everything to you. Clarity of purpose is a choice. It's the courage to stand firm when doubt creeps in. It's the discipline to remind yourself every single day why you started. It's the willingness to push through the moments when it would be easier to walk away because the dream you had, it still exists. It's still waiting for you. And the only question that matters is, will you find your way back to it? Doubt is the quiet killer of dreams. It doesn't show up as a loud, obvious force. It doesn't announce itself. It creeps in slowly, whispering in the back of your mind, planting seeds of hesitation. At first it's subtle. Are you sure this is the right path? What if you fail? What if you're not good enough? And before you realize it, doubt has built a wall between you and the future you once believed in. But here's the thing about doubt. It's not real. It's a story you tell yourself. It's a defense mechanism, a survival instinct trying to protect you from failure, from embarrassment, from pain. But the same instinct that keeps you safe also keeps you stuck. Because when doubt takes over, action stops. Progress stops. And the worst part, you start believing that maybe just maybe, the voice in your head is right. Doubt doesn't come from knowing you can't do something. It comes from not knowing if you can. It thrives in uncertainty. It feeds on inexperience. It loves when you hesitate, and the only way to silence it is to move. Not to wait until you feel ready. Not to gather more opinions, but to take action even when you don't have all the answers. The people you admire, the ones who have built incredible lives, they didn't start with unshakable confidence. They started with doubt, just like you. The difference? They didn't listen to it. They pushed through. They showed up day after day, even when they weren't sure they had what it took. And through that process, doubt lost its power. Because doubt is powerless in the face of action. The moment you start moving, the moment you take even the smallest step forward, you weaken its grip. You prove to yourself that you are capable, that you are learning, that you are growing. And little by little, you replace doubt with belief. But here's the hard truth. Doubt never fully disappears. No matter how much you accomplish, no matter how many wins you stack up, it will always find a way to resurface. The stakes get higher, the challenges get bigger, and once again, that voice will creep in. What if this time you're not enough? And in that moment, you have a choice. Do you let it stop you? Or do you remind yourself of all the times you felt this way before and still found a way through? You've faced doubt before, you've questioned yourself before, and yet here you are. That means every single time you've overcome it. Maybe not perfectly, maybe not without struggle, but you made it through. And if you've done it once, you can do it again. Because the only real difference between the person who succeeds and the person who gives up isn't talent, isn't intelligence. It's the ability to move forward even when doubt is screaming at you to stop. Most people wait for confidence before they take action. But confidence doesn't come first. Action comes first. Confidence is the result. It's built through experience, through failure, through proving to yourself that you are more capable than you think. The sooner you understand that, the sooner you break free from the cycle of doubt. And maybe that's the real battle, not against failure, not against obstacles, but against the part of you that wants to play it safe, the part that tells you to shrink, to settle, to accept a life that is smaller than the one you know you are meant for. But the people who create real impact, who change their own lives and the lives of others, they don't let that voice win. They hear it, they acknowledge it, and then they move forward anyway. People get stuck because they focus too much on the end goal. They see the massive mountain ahead of them, and instead of feeling inspired, they feel overwhelmed. They look at the distance between where they are and where they want to be, and doubt creeps in. How am I ever going to get there? That's the wrong question. The right question is, what's the next step? Big achievements never happen in one giant leap. They're built through small, consistent actions, repeated over time. But because small steps don't feel significant in the moment, most people ignore them. They think if they can't make a massive change overnight, it's not worth starting at all. And that's the reason so many dreams die before they even begin. The most successful people in the world didn't get there because of one defining moment. They got there because of years of showing up. Even when it wasn't exciting, even when it wasn't convenient, they understood that every step, no matter how small, compounds over time. And when you look back, you realize that those small steps were the difference between success and regret. Most people underestimate the power of momentum. They think they need motivation to start, when in reality, action comes first. Motivation follows movement. The hardest part is always the beginning, the first workout, the first attempt, the first rejection. But once you take that first step, no matter how small, you prove to yourself that movement is possible. And that's when momentum kicks in. Think about any skill you've ever learned. When you first started, it was awkward, it was uncomfortable, you weren't good at it. But you didn't wake up the next day as an expert. You improved because you kept showing up. You took small steps, practicing, learning, failing, adjusting. And over time, those small steps turned into progress. The problem is, most people quit before they see the results. They expect instant gratification. They want proof that their efforts are working immediately. But real progress is invisible at first. It's happening beneath the surface. And if you give up too soon, you never get to see the breakthrough that was just around the corner. Small steps might not feel like they're making a difference, but they are. Every time you choose to take action instead of making an excuse, you're reinforcing the identity of someone who doesn't quit. Every time you stay disciplined when it would be easier to slack off, you're building mental toughness. Every time you push through doubt, fear, or fatigue, you're proving to yourself that you are capable of more. The difference between success and failure isn't a lack of talent. It isn't intelligence, it isn't luck, it's consistency. It's the willingness to keep going even when the progress is slow, even when you don't feel like it. Because over time, those small steps add up. They turn into habits, they turn into skills, they turn into results. Most people never reach their full potential because they are waiting for the perfect moment to start. They think they need more time, more knowledge, more confidence, but the truth is the only way to get those things is by starting, by taking one small step forward, and then another, and then another. Because once you commit to the process, once you embrace the power of small steps, nothing is out of reach. The people around you shape your mindset, your habits, and ultimately your future. You might think your dream is just about you, your discipline, your work ethic, your talent. But look closer. No one succeeds alone. The voices you hear every day, the energy you're surrounded by, and the expectations set by the people closest to you are either pushing you forward or holding you back. Think about the most driven, successful, and fulfilled people in the world. They all have one thing in common. They are intentional about who they let into their circle. They don't waste energy on people who drain them. They don't seek validation from those who doubt them. They build an environment that fuels their growth, not their insecurities, because they understand a fundamental truth. Your potential is directly tied to the company you keep. Look at your life right now, the conversations you have, the advice you take, the standards you accept. Are they elevating you, or are they keeping you comfortable? Because comfort is the enemy of growth. The wrong people will convince you that it's okay to settle, that you're already doing enough, that your dream is unrealistic. And the more you hear that, the more you start to believe it. But the right people, they challenge you. They call you out when you're making excuses. They expect more from you, not because they want to control you, but because they see your potential even when you don't. They push you past your limits, not to break you, but to show you that you're capable of more than you think. Success is contagious. When you surround yourself with people who are driven, disciplined, and committed to their goals, you naturally start to adopt the same mindset. You pick up their habits, you raise your own standards, you stop tolerating mediocrity because you see firsthand what's possible when you refuse to settle. But the opposite is also true. Spend enough time around people who complain, procrastinate, and make excuses, and you'll start doing the same. Not because you want to, but because it becomes normal. It happens subtly. You skip one workout because no one around you values discipline. You put off your goals because everyone else is doing the same. You start believing that good enough is acceptable because that's the environment you've placed yourself in. Changing your circle isn't about cutting people off for the sake of it. It's about protecting your energy. It's about choosing to spend time with people who align with your vision, who push you to be better, who don't let you fall into patterns of self-doubt or laziness. That doesn't mean you have to abandon people you care about, but it does mean setting boundaries. It means being mindful of who you allow to influence your thoughts and decisions. If you want to grow, you have to be willing to let go of relationships that no longer serve you. It's not selfish. It's necessary. Because at the end of the day, you have one life, and who you choose to surround yourself with will determine whether you spend it chasing your full potential or settling for something less. Adversity is not an obstacle. It's a test. A test of how badly you want it, how strong you really are, and whether you're willing to keep pushing when everything in you wants to quit. Because here's the truth. Every dream worth chasing comes with struggle. Every path to success is filled with setbacks, failures, and moments that make you question if it's even worth it. And most people, when faced with adversity, break. Not because they aren't capable, but because they weren't ready to endure the pain that comes with growth. Resilience isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. It's a muscle that strengthens every time you refuse to quit. Every time life knocks you down and you get back up. Every time you push through the doubt, the exhaustion, the fear, you prove to yourself that adversity doesn't define you. Your response does. The people who succeed in life, the ones who achieve greatness, they aren't the ones who had it easy. They aren't the ones who never fail. They are the ones who refuse to let failure define them. They took every setback, every rejection, every painful moment and turned it into fuel. They understood that adversity isn't the end of the road, it's part of the journey. Most people let adversity stop them because they expect the road to be smooth. They think success should come without pain. But that's not how life works. The struggle is what separates those who want it from those who are just interested. Because anyone can stay motivated when things are going well. Anyone can work hard when there are no obstacles. But the real test is what you do when everything goes wrong. Will you give up or will you adapt? Will you complain or will you find another way? Will you let failure break you or will you use it to make you stronger? Resilience isn't about ignoring pain or pretending like setbacks don't hurt. It's about pushing forward despite them. It's about looking adversity in the face and saying, "You will not stop me." It's about understanding that every challenge, every hardship, every failure is an opportunity to grow, because growth doesn't happen in comfort. Strength isn't built in easy times. The moments that define you, that shape you into the person you're meant to be, come in the middle of the storm, when everything is falling apart, when nothing is going according to plan. That's when resilience is built. That's when you find out who you really are. Most people never reach their full potential because the first time they struggle, they assume it's a sign to quit. But adversity is never a stop sign, it's a challenge. It's life asking you, how much do you really want this? And the answer isn't in what you say, it's in what you do. When things get hard, when the world feels like it's against you, when nothing seems to be working, you have a choice. You can let adversity define you, or you can decide that no matter what happens, no matter how long it takes, no matter how many times you fall, you will rise again. Because that's what resilience is. It's the refusal to accept defeat. It's the unshakable belief that no matter how many times you fail, you are not finished yet.